Hey guys, before Mark and I start the video, we just wanted to say that our deepest condolences goes out to everybody that's living in the U.S. and experiences and is experiencing the turmoil that's going on right now with these groups that are vandalizing cars and businesses and breaking windows and not having any concern for private property whatsoever that belongs to hardworking people that are going through a tough time because of this coronavirus. So our hearts go out to you. We hope that you're safe and that you remain safe while all this is taking place. Hi guys, Paulette and Mark behind the camera from Two Travelers in Mexico. So we're going to answer some more questions since we were hoping that by the beginning of June we could go ahead and start traveling, which we really can't. We could probably take the buses from the bus terminal out, but the other question is, are we going to be able to find a hotel that's open? I don't know. Another good question. And I don't want to get out there and can't find one and have to sleep on the bench. That would really suck. Carla wants to know about leasing on rentals. She wants to know if you can lease rentals shorter than a year's lease. Yes, you can. You can lease them month to month. You can lease them for 6 months. But what we've ran into with ours is that the place that we're in right now, we had to do a year's lease and we had to have a co-signer, and it was somebody that helped us with our process for our temporary visa and getting our IMSS insurance and stuff like that. So she co-signed for us, but it was a year lease from the person that we were renting from. But again, you can get month to month. They might be a little bit more expensive. I'm not sure. You can get furnished, unfurnished. Usually furnished come a little bit more expensive, but not too bad. And then pet friendly, yeah, you can find places that are pet friendly. And the other thing that I wanted to answer was you can either go through like an agency, you can go through like B&Bs to find a rental, or you can go through Marketplace in the area that you're looking at. So hope that answers your question, Carla.
Our next question comes from Rusty, and he asked if the Costco membership works here and the Sam's Club membership works here from the U.S., and yes, they both do. We used our Costco membership when we first moved here, and we got a Sam's Club membership after we moved here. We didn't have one in the U.S., but we know that they do work in both locations. However, we could not renew our U.S. Costco membership here, so we did have to eventually sign up for a Mexico Costco membership, which is actually cheaper than getting a Costco membership in the U.S.
It's $25. We pay $25 for Sam's and for Costco.
Right. And we paid $25 for our Costco membership and $25 for our Sam's Club membership.
For two.
For two people, according to Paulette.
It's me again, hands up. Okay, next question comes from Luis. And he says, are there expat colonias in Morelia? I just call them neighborhoods. Anyhow, yeah, I think there is one that we know of that is up in the hill by, what is it, Santa Maria?
Santa Maria.
Santa Maria. But I don't know that it's really an expat, per se, community, like San Miguel de Allende and different places. But there are a lot that do live up there. But I think in Morelia, a lot of people are just kind of scattered around like us. Okay, so the next question comes from Sarah, and she's asking about the summer dress code in Morelia, and do women wear shorts, vest tops, what else? Yeah, stuff like that. Mostly I see jeans and tops. There are women that do wear dresses, usually like nice summer dresses around town. There are mostly expats that I see wearing shorts, but there are some locals that wear shorts too. I think as long as you don't wear them too short, you're fine. But for the majority, a lot of countries wear jeans a lot, even on hot days like 100 degrees. So hope that answers your question there.
Our next question is from Mr. N, and he asks, the only thing that makes me think twice about moving to Mexico in a few years is that my kids will stay behind. Now, that was our biggest issue too, how we stay in contact with our kids. There are a lot of apps out there that we can use. We use WhatsApp, there's Facebook, video apps, and then a few other things too. So staying in contact isn't much of an issue. The only thing that honestly we really miss after having left the U.S. is being able to see our kids like personally eye to eye, which of course isn't going on right now anywhere anyway, but that's what we miss. We've forgotten who submitted the next question, but the question was, how did you get Mexican insurance, and who did you go through? We went through a company called Qualitas, and it's important that you actually have to have Mexican car insurance before you cross the border, because once you cross the border, if you're driving into Mexico, when you go to get your tip, they require that you have car insurance. At the place that we stopped in Nogales at the INM, where we registered our vehicle, there was a place that would sell you car insurance there, but I think it's probably more expensive. We are paying for our Mexican car insurance $350 a year for full coverage. Hi, our next question comes from Becky in California, and she asks, how long is a temporary residency good for, and can you just keep renewing it? Well, the first temporary residency you get is for 1 year, and then after 1 year you can renew it for 1, 2, or 3 years. But after the 4th year, you have to either go permanent or leave the country and then reinitiate the temporary residency process all over again. Now, if you're driving a car, and if you've driven a car in here to Mexico, you can have that car as long as you're on a temporary residency. However, once you go to permanent, you have to either nationalize your car, which is pretty expensive here, or drive it out of the U.S., sell it, and then come back in. However, by plane, train, bus. The next part of her question, she asks, can you leave Mexico during your temporary residency? You can. However, if you leave Mexico while they're still processing your temporary residency, they could choose to put it on hold for a while, and there's some paperwork that you have to put out. So that will just slow down the process. So it's best just to complete the process. For us, it took about 45 days, and then you can leave Mexico, and you don't really have to return until you decide to come back and renew your residency for either 1, 2, or 3 more years. But you do have to be here during that whole process when they're processing your application.
And you do want to return before your temporary visa expires.
Exactly. Now, when you cross the border into Mexico, you automatically qualify for the tourist visa, which is usually good for 180 days. Now, if you're going for the temporary residency visa, that qualifies you for a year. Our cost on the temporary residency visa was a total of $36 and some paperwork. So it might be worth it to you just to do that rather than make border runs every 6 months.
And you have to start that in the U.S. It doesn't have to be the area that you're from. It could be anywhere within the U.S. But you do need to start it there, because once you get approved, they'll put a stamp inside your visa, and then you have 6 months to cross the border. Once you've crossed that border, you show them your stamp, and then at that point you have 30 days to start the paperwork once in Mexico, which will cost you another fee.
If you like what we're doing, please subscribe and
hit the bell, click the bell, ding the bell if you like what we're doing, like Mark says, and you'll be notified every time that we put out a new video, and you can follow us on our videos to see what we're doing, where we're at, what's happening, what kind of mistakes we're making, what we find out in Mexico.